Tens of thousands of years ago, while inhospitable Europe was covered in mile-thick glaciers, the boreal regions of Eurasia experienced extraordinarily favorable weather. These environments were populated by a diverse range of animals, making for good game. A tenacious band of Neanderthals may have staged a last stand for their species at a distant outpost in subarctic Russia, according to a recently discovered prehistoric tool kit. Remarkably, this site is 1,000 miles northeast of Moscow and 1,500 miles northwest of Denisova Cave, at approximately the same latitude as central Alaska, the Yukon, and the Northwest Territories of Canada. In fact, the Ural Mountains site may represent one of the last refuges for Neanderthals, which would be quite a thrilling discovery. The Ural Mountains span 1,500 miles, from the Arctic Ocean in the north to the Ural River and northwestern Kazakhstan in the south, forming the border between Europe and Asia. Mysterious tools and bones unearthed here may indicate that Neanderthals were the first human species to live in the Great North and possessed better intelligence. Deep markings on mammoth tusks, as well as evidence of hunting and defleshing, suggest that human activity happened long before sapiens arrived in the area. For over 300,000 years, Homo sapiens and Neanderthals coexisted on Earth. Nonetheless, around 40,000 years ago, Neanderthals vanished from the fossil record, never to be seen again. Most archaeologists believe our evolutionary cousins went extinct about this time, based on extensive examinations of radiocarbon dates connected with Neanderthal bones and artifacts. There is no uncontested evidence that the species survived after that period. But what if certain Neanderthal groups in remote parts of Eurasia survived longer? Sometimes we think of the last Neanderthal as a solitary individual who cannot find a partner, but we should imagine him more like a person whose partner was a Homo sapiens. Now, new genetic work has revealed another valuable piece of information from the discovery that Neanderthals had 10% ancient Homo sapiens DNA from earlier mixing events. The inclusion of ancient sapiens DNA in Neanderthal genomes has resulted in an overestimation of Neanderthal population sizes. According to the revised calculations, Neanderthal populations were 26% smaller, with less than 2,500 people spread in small isolated tribes across Europe. Geneticists show that unidirectional gene flow caused the sapiens population to grow and diversify when they interbred with Neanderthals, while the Neanderthal population shrank and weakened. According to the study, the Bezovaya Neanderthals figured out how to survive in harsh Arctic conditions. Neanderthals of this culture used their own techniques to live in the Arctic landscape during a time when the rest of Europe was extremely cold. But despite more than a century and a half of scientific inquiry, we still don't know what kind of intelligence they possessed or what type of humanity they were. And this haunts everyone's imaginations. Researchers uncovered Mousterian stone tools, typically Neanderthal in origin, from 28,500 years ago in the Russian Arctic. This study reveals that a community of Neanderthals lived contentedly in Siberia 12,000 years after their supposed extinction. Paleoanthropological relics indicate that Neanderthals manufactured relatively few stone weapons. 99% of the stone implements they fashioned were for cutting meat or tanning skins. It is suggested that they hunted and killed at close range, skewering their victims with wooden spears and used stone tools for butchering. The Mousterian, or Mode 3 technology, is an archaeological stone tool industry connected predominantly with Neanderthals in Europe, as well as the earliest anatomically modern humans in North Africa and Western Asia. The Mousterian period encompasses the later part of the Middle Paleolithic and the middle of the West Eurasian Old Stone Age. The European Mousterian is a Neanderthal product. It existed between approximately 200,000 and 40,000 years ago. Some assemblages contain extraordinarily small points created using the Levallois technique, among other prepared core types, leading some scholars to speculate that these flakes benefit from Neanderthal's superior grip strength. A study of the objects discovered in Le Moustier also reveals that Middle Paleolithic humans used glue derived from ochre and bitumen to make hand grips for cutting and scraping stone implements. Archaeologists' experiments revealed that the substance was sticky enough to hold a small stone tool and function as a handle while keeping the hands clean. This assumes knowledge of both material properties and that combining these substances produces a new material. Furthermore, both components, bitumen and ochre, had to be extracted from separate sites located far apart. This took careful planning and foresight to optimize the flint blades. As stated, the Mousterian Neanderthal-style toolkit discovered in Russia's Ural Mountains dates back 28,000 years, and the site may have been Neanderthals' last refuge before their extinction. Not only would these hardy handful be the longest-living Neanderthals, but they'd also be the furthest north, roughly 700 miles beyond the species' acknowledged northern limit. Seclusion could have saved the group from extinction for a few more millennia, delaying their discovery by modern archaeologists. However, other experts disagree, claiming that the site was inhabited by modern humans rather than Neanderthals. Today, 2 decades after the original discovery, the issue remains unresolved. Another hypothesis is that anatomically modern humans created the heavy tools using Mousterian technology, which is associated with Neanderthals, but anthropologists believe this is implausible. Researchers believe it is highly likely that Bizovia Mousterian technology was developed by Neanderthals, and thus that they much lived longer until 28,000 years ago than most experts believe. The conclusion is based on an analysis of the 313 stone objects unearthed from Bizovia. Researchers made the conclusions after examining hundreds of stone artifacts and the remains of woolly rhinoceros, reindeer, musk ox, brown bear, wolf and polar fox discovered at the site in the western foothills of the polar Urals. Dates were acquired for both the sand at the site and some of the bones, many of which have cut marks that indicate processing by humans, according to the researchers. Based on comparisons to well-accepted Neanderthal sites in Central and Eastern Europe, the scientists believe the tool types and craftsmanship style are definitely Neanderthal because modern Homo sapiens in Eurasia did not create such tools. The tools associated with the Neanderthals' Mousterian style were largely flakes, which scientists recreated by hitting a powerful stone hammer on specific stones. As a result, the tool's original makers most likely utilized a similar manufacturing approach. The preserved flakes could have been used to build two-sided scrapers, possibly for hunting, extracting flesh from bones, or working with animal hides. Modern human tool-making processes linked with the Upper Paleolithic, 40,000 to 10,000 years ago, on the other hand, were generally focused on the production of what we call blade or bladelet technologies. The Bizovia hominins did not appear to produce such blades, which were frequently crafted from organic materials like bone and ivory. Therefore Neanderthals created the Bizovia tools. Even though Neanderthals may have disappeared from other parts of Europe and Asia, they apparently lingered in this distant spot near the Arctic Circle for 10,000 years. What's more, only strong individuals in a well-organized, clever group could have lived in the region, given the severe conditions at the time. Compared to modern humans, Neanderthal tools do not follow a pattern of standardization. Look closely at Neanderthal tools and weapons. They're all unique. If you study thousands of Neanderthal stone tools, you will discover that each is unique. Indeed, if you compare a Neanderthal tool to a million others in the same archaeological layer and societies, they are all vastly different. Each tool is a distinct creation, so Neanderthals exhibit incredible creativity. Researchers have speculated that Neanderthal behavior would appear neophobic and dogmatic to modern humans, despite having a high degree of rationality. There is a complete lack of standardization, which we see in both our ancestors and modern societies. The quality of stone tools discovered at archaeological sites indicates that Neanderthals were skilled at expert cognition, a type of observational learning and practice acquired through apprenticeship that relies heavily on long-term procedural memory. Nevertheless, over hundreds of thousands of years, Neanderthal toolmaking remained remarkably consistent, but this lack of innovation may indicate a reduced ability to think by analogy and less working memory. Most anthropologists believe modern humans began to supplant Neanderthals between 75,000 and 50,000 years ago. These findings reveal that Neanderthals did not perish as a result of climate change or cultural inferiority. It is apparent that, given their versatility, the Mousterian cultures can no longer be deemed archaic. The logic may appear weak, but archaeologists frequently use artifact style to infer the presence of ancient human species or societies. Human fossils are exceptionally rare, and most sites only include artifacts. For better or worse, artifacts frequently provide our best guess as to who was present at fossil-free sites. Most studies indicate that Neanderthals died out by 40,000 years ago, but this says nothing about possible late Neanderthals in the periphery northern Europe and central Eurasia. Thus, we cannot easily dismiss this find. In any event, the tools attributed to Neanderthals in Russia are very interesting in terms of humans being that far north during the Middle Paleolithic. The problem with the assertion is that no Neanderthal or modern human fossils have been discovered at Bizovaya. Only stone tools and animal bones. To definitively verify Neanderthal presence, researchers would require bones containing Neanderthal DNA. The Mousterian Neanderthal skeleton known as Le Moustier is thought to be around 45,000 years old. The skull has a big nasal cavity and a slightly less developed brow ridge and occipital bun, as would be expected in a young adult. After its discovery, the skull was disassembled, cast and rebuilt at least 4 times. During this procedure, the skull sustained significant damage. For example, a dentist shattered the jawbone to reach the teeth. The skull is now missing numerous sections, with the teeth bonded in the incorrect place, and has been dipped in glue, varnished and painted with plaster. As a result, its scientific value is significantly reduced and no DNA can be recovered. This leads us back to the standoff over Bizovaya. Different researchers, evaluating the same information, reached different conclusions. Some stone tool experts believe the finds are more similar to items from similarly old sites in western Russia that contain Homo sapiens skeletons. In this sense, Bizovaya was just another modern human destination. No matter who built the tools or when, one thing is certain: there is little clarity in the human history, and that is unlikely to change very soon. For starters, when it comes to human history, large parts of Eurasia remain largely unknown. Indeed, the true Neanderthal may have escaped us as we have pieced it together from the remains of various fossils. After disappearing from the planet, the Neanderthal has been transformed into a lifeless doll, a so-called scarecrow Neanderthal, which we have disguised as ourselves. Neanderthal man is not just a historical or scientific entity, but a unique creature with its own biology. Indeed, Neanderthals are not our true brothers or cousins, and the Neanderthal cannot be likened to any being we are familiar with. Thus, we are the puppet masters of these creatures from the past, and with that statement, we will leave you to ponder the mysteries of our shared human history. Until next time, stay curious and stay questioning. Also, please subscribe, share and check out our channel's other videos. Thank you and take care.